So I'm delighted that Marc Murphy from Balance Cafe in Glanmire has come to join us today, and Marc is a nutritional therapist and he's going to be discussing how foods for fuel throughout your day. So Marc, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
If you can just explain a little bit about yourself, who you do, a bit of background and what you do right now.
Okay, well, my name is Marc Murphy. As Ian said, I'm a nutritional therapist. I'm also a lecturer for the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and I have my own cafe in Glanmire in partnership with Joanne, where we focus on healthy food and try to promote better food choices throughout the day for people through breakfast and lunch and takeaway meals. I find food fascinating, very, very interesting. It's amazing what it does in the body, so that's my focus really, and what food does.
Excellent. So I suppose something we see, and the reason we asked you to come in and speak about this, is people suffering from energy slumps throughout the day. Is that something you come across quite often?
Yeah, always. Like how our energy is used in the body is very interesting, if you want me to go into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 3 different ways the body makes energy. The first one, unique to muscles, ATP, PC system. Obviously they're experts here in ATP fitness, so that's like the key in the car, turns on the engine, gives you a burst to go. That's your first energy system. Creatine is used there to regenerate ATP and give you a little bit back. Hence why creatine is so popular in gyms and gives you kind of a boost in energy. Important for muscle function. Then your second area for making energy is in the cells. We need to get fuel into the cells, so the kind of watery portion of the cell, the cytosol, is where it's called anaerobic respiration. You're probably familiar with that, Ian. Gives you your second kind of burst of energy, and then your last burst is anaerobic, so you'd be bringing in your respiratory system, cardiovascular system, so oxygen coming in, making more fuel. So basically the more ATP you make, the more energy you have for exercise.
Okay.
Yeah. So those dips can be manipulated in the day. So how do we relate that to us in food? Basically, it's the food choices that we're making in the day.
So, like, what do you feel like? Obviously, food choice, I suppose, will be the main factor. Do you, like, what are the main areas if someone comes to you with energy slumps during the day that you look at and that you feel they can make changes on some food?
Well, what I'd look at first is their diet, obviously. I'd be looking at their meal choices, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and what they're eating around their day, what they're eating around their training, even for you guys. If they're having sugary snacks throughout the day, you'll get spikes in energy and then it dips. Okay, that's how the body works. It kind of draws the energy into your body. So we'd be looking at carbohydrates, simple and complex. If you're having a lot of simple carbohydrates in the day, you'll have a lot of spikes, you'll have a lot of slumps. So we'd be looking at that.
So simple carbohydrates, like your sugary type carbs.
Yeah. So say for example, this is a simple carbohydrate. Okay, you're effectively bypassing your digestive system. So you're straight into the system, into your cells. You get a burst of energy, but after about 20 minutes, it's gone. So then your body can be looking for more, could be craving more energy. So hence could be craving more simple carbohydrates. And that's what I find with people sometimes. Whereas if you brought in more of the complex type, you're now engaging your digestive system. So you need to break down this carbohydrate. Your body has to tear it apart and it releases much, much more slowly, giving you better energy throughout the day.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
So a good explanation there, something I think we're doing a post on is, people believe white bread is bad, and it's not bad.
It's not that bad.
It's just the difference between, we say, wholemeal bread and white bread is the rate at which it breaks down.
That's right. So a white bread, say for example, would be made up of kind of simple sugars. Okay, so the brown bread is more complex sugars.
Yeah, so they're not bad.
It's not bad. You're just
getting more hungry later on, that kind of thing from it.
You're using the energy from the white bread faster.
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. And that's why it's important to understand that the type of food does matter throughout your day. And when you do have energy slumps, I think to look back on the meals previous, and they can kind of be a good indicator.
So say for example, if we pick somebody, and I see these clients all the time, get up in the morning, have a high sugary breakfast, have a high sugary drink, and then by 11 o'clock they're wiped out because the energy has been used, and then they find themselves looking for a high sugary snack again, maybe a coffee with 4 sugars, again simple sugar coming in, and by 3 o'clock they're wiped, and that cycle can continue throughout the day. Whereas if they switched it up in the morning to good brown bread, even with peanut butter and banana, slow release, okay, 2 sugars in the coffee, let's be real, bring it down a little bit. I mean, don't cut it out, kind of get yourself used to it. A proper kind of good quality lunch, you'll have better energy right throughout the day.
And I think people really understand that, people have heard and been in the face from, protein makes you feel fuller for longer, fibre helps fill up the stomach, but it's relating back to this simple carb stuff. Like that's gone from the system straight away. Whereas by increasing protein and increasing fibre, it's the whole thing that it stays in the stomach that bit
It
longer.
does, and like it's longer to break down. If you combine the complex carb with protein, then it's even slower again. So like you're almost drip feeding yourself energy as opposed to a rush of energy.
Excellent. Excellent stuff. And I suppose, like, you know, what simple tips could you give somebody, say, who is watching this and is like, I suffer from those slumps all the time, you know, what can I take from today to try and improve?
Well, again, you'd look at their food, what are they eating in the day, maybe combine better sources of carb with better sources of protein. You know, maybe they're having, you know, white bread sandwich with just some ham, you know, pack it with some spinach, with some tomato, with some cucumber, you know, better sources of carb there as well, and maybe throw in a good quality protein like salmon, chicken, turkey, you know, and kind of, that's a simple tip.
Yeah.
You know, it's just better quality, slower to break down in the body, fueling you better in the day.
How do you find something like sleep affecting, you know, energy throughout the day? Like, do you feel lack of sleep is a cause of going to certain foods and that thing?
Definitely. Your energy can be down because you're not sleeping properly, but that can also relate to your blood sugar dropping during the night. I find with clients, if they're waking, their blood sugar has dipped in their sleep, and that can cause you to wake.
Okay.
That can be related to their choices of foods again in the day.
Okay.
And maybe they're just on this vicious cycle, no sleep, need energy, craving simple carbohydrates or sweet foods to try and get themselves through the day.
So if you are suffering from slumps of energy, it really is just looking at your food in the whole and trying to just adjust one or two things and identifying these simple carbs, which we can help you with in ATP as well by asking, but also just substituting in more protein sources, more fibre sources, and that will definitely help your energy levels throughout the day.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah.
So we asked people to send in a couple of questions just for Mark as well, because we knew we were coming in. So we're going to go through a few of the questions. So one of them was how to break the snacking habit when you know you've eaten enough. What advice?
Okay, I suppose we come across this all the time in our profession. That's basically breaking a habit that I find with people. People are used to, they've now addressed their diet, maybe they're having good quality meals but still feel, okay, I normally have a cup of coffee with a chocolate biscuit. I normally will get up in the morning and have something sweet after my breakfast or in between my meals. Basically, sorry guys, that's just try and break the habit. You know, instead of having the cup of tea or the cup of coffee, switch to a glass of water.
Yeah,
you know?
it's that behaviour change we think will help. So like if your trigger is a cup of coffee, then instead of coffee, I said have a water. It mightn't be the same type of trigger, but also being aware of what your triggers are. So you know, if it's that you've always had 4 biscuits, can you have 2 biscuits?
Can you have 2 biscuits?
You know?
Be real with yourself, you know.
I think so.
A good way of doing it as well is very important. I advise most of my clients keep a food diary.
Yeah.
You can see exactly what you're eating, when you're eating, how you're eating. You can even have a section, was I stressed? You know, how was I feeling emotionally? And you can link your whole food with your thoughts together there.
Yeah, like food diaries are very important, and I think what Mark is touching on there is very important to know how you're feeling when you're eating, because a lot of stuff we do is quite mindless. We're not mindful of what we're doing. It's just like, this is what I've always done. So if you can be aware of, I've always done this, but I can change it, then you can start seeing some improvement straight away. So it is just habit and behaviour change. And
another thing to throw in is don't beat yourself up if you do have the snack. For God's sake, we're all human, we're all real. You know, just move on.
Exactly.
Move forward.
That is a big thing. Don't let one snack become an entire day or a week where you feel like you're completely off the wagon again. It's just getting back on track.
And don't leave the guilt creep in. Just move on.
Yeah. Good stuff. So, how to control junk food cravings? I think we all suffer from those.
Junk food, again, could be related to what you're eating in the day. Are they high sugary foods? Are you getting those dips in blood sugar where your body is kind of craving more of the sugar? That could be just down to your blood sugar balance. Just to touch again, when we eat carbohydrates, they'll all eventually end up as glucose in our system. How they break down is what we were discussing. It's very important. But it goes to our blood. We call it blood sugar balance. So if you have a lot of sugar in your blood, your body releases a hormone called insulin to get the sugar from the blood into your cells where it's needed. Okay, overconsumption of simple carbohydrates, you have overproduction of insulin. It's going to keep being pumped out into the body.
Is that where we talk then, say, like when it comes to obesity, if somebody is constantly spiking these blood sugar levels, you're releasing mass amounts of insulin,
Yeah.
and the pancreas doesn't have to actually kind of stops releasing the amount.
The pancreas is just basically like all of us over exercising or over consuming something. It's going to go, oh, I'm sick of releasing insulin, so you're going to have problems down the line. So that's where you really need to look at your simple carbs and what you're bringing into the body.
On the extreme side, like that's where type 2 diabetes can occur, and it can show to be like you can get type 2 diabetes, but it can be reversed.
You can control it, certainly. You can help yourself along. It's hard. You need to change your diet. You need to look at your exercise. You need to look at your mind focus.
Yeah.
But like those sugar cravings with what you were talking about there, could be a dip again in blood sugar, and you're just looking for more.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, again, just touching on, on the higher scale of the obesity side of things, type 2 diabetes can be prevented day one. It's something you can see an onset of happening. So by being aware of these things, that you might not know that your pancreas is releasing insulin non-stop, but like dips in energy levels non-stop.
Okay. Weight gain could be one side, tiredness, sluggishness. There's a lot of side effects.
There's signs there to see, so it's just to be, again, that awareness when things happen, that it's time to maybe take a look at what we're eating into our bodies.
Brilliant tip. As I said earlier, food's amazing. How we look at food is very important.
How to enjoy my food and manage my weight successfully. So what do you think on that kind of question?
Well, enjoying your food is just, I would say, for me personally, is down to how you look at food. Okay, are you looking at food just for fuel source? Or are you looking at food to sustain and nourish the body? I think if you look at food as kind of nourishing and sustaining the body, you have a better connection with the food. You can enjoy it a bit more, as opposed to, I need to eat because I'm hungry to get me through the day. If you actively go and look online or talk to yourselves or myself or how food works, you have a better connection. You look at food differently. Okay, so that's important. That's
I think,
how you can
understanding how food works. And I suppose we have to get across that me and Mark love this thing and we're obsessed with this kind of side of stuff, so it's a bit easier for us. But for your average person who might not have that much interest in food, it still is quite important to understand what it's actually doing. Like, food has a purpose when it goes into your body. It is really good. Like, enjoy your food as much as you can, but it's knowing that there's values on foods. There's like certain foods a certain person can eat. I can eat a different amount to some other people, and we get away with these kind of things. It's understanding that balance, and I think, like, when you decide to enjoy your food, it's actually enjoying it and not bringing that guilt again back in.
Exactly.
After,
And just another point on how to enjoy your food for weight loss is you're looking at the quality of the food, the amount of food, the types of food you're eating, why you're eating, again, when you're eating. We done a post on calorie density, and again, it's as simple for us to understand, but calorie density is something that has a really small amount for a lot of calories. So that comes back to your chocolate bars, your biscuits, these kind of things. We can very easily eat them, but like there's a big amount. So if you can switch that for more volume of food with less calories, like if you're looking at a drop of oil, which might be 400 calories as opposed to 400 calories in vegetables, if this much vegetables, this much oil, so
it's just, again, just trying to educate yourself a little bit on understand the basics of nutrition. It'll really stand to you, and I think to people around you.
Totally.
And just one of the last questions is, like, someone's diagnosed as a celiac recently and just wants to know, good tips for adapting to a new lifestyle that they have to go down.
Well, that can be fairly tough, and obviously celiacs, their energy can be off because all our food, or most of our food, is absorbed in our small intestine. So for somebody who's diagnosed celiac, we have, if we opened our small intestine, we have little microvilli, and our food comes along. When it's broken down, it's absorbed into the system. Somebody who's a celiac, they're flattened. So they might not even be absorbing their carbs or their proteins or their fats. They can feel quite tired and quite sluggish. Even their iron and B12, those kind of nutrients won't be absorbed. So again, I would say 100% keep a food diary around what they're eating. Try and stick to a gluten-free as much as you can. It's hard at the start. When you're eating out is very important. You need to ask how food is cooked. Is it gluten-free? Food labels is huge. Looking at that and making sure you understand where gluten is in the ingredients. Like, it's some people, so for example, couscous has gluten. Some people think it doesn't have gluten. So you need to look, ask, read, and educate yourself.
Educating probably a little bit more than the average person needs to educate.
Like that's a medical condition that's going to affect your body. Somebody who brings gluten in as a celiac, guaranteed will be on the bowl 5 or 6 times in the day. Can get dehydrated. you need to be careful.
Okay, so it's celiac, obviously getting doctor's advice and everything, but you know, just really looking at your food, and it is again adjusting new habits, adjusting your current lifestyle. It will be hard at the beginning, but you know, if you put the work in and to educate yourself a little bit, it is possible.
And keep the food diary again is huge for somebody who's celiac.
Okay, so a big thing from today I think is definitely a food diary. And we've learned from myself from being in the industry, you know, getting a food diary to a trainer with 100% of everything on it is can be quite challenging for a lot of people. But it's important to remember that like we're here to help you. You know, like if you put in everything in, we can identify foods that we can kind of adapt or change. I think one of the biggest tips is to not change everything in one go.
Exactly, it's baby steps. And with your food diary again, be real with your food diary. Like if you're having 8 biscuits, write down 8 biscuits.
Yeah, exactly, because what will happen is like your trainer or your nutritionist will probably pull something else or change something else in the food when it could be, can we have 4 biscuits here instead of 8, like, you know, and that'll make the change as well, like, you know. So I think the big thing is to understand that it is small changes. If you do suffer from energy slumps during the day, to just look at your food in a whole, and from there then you can adapt and change and just trial a few things and see does that work for you.
Like small changes have a huge impact.
And that's a big that's the big thing to take. I think small changes, and by doing small changes I think we can consistently stick to those, whereas people who have done all these diets and failed, they've just changed everything at once, like, you know.
Exactly, they've taken bigger, like they've cut out food groups. And you know,
it's just don't do that.
Yeah,
exactly. So I'd like to thank Marc for coming in today. Please make sure give him a follow, Balance Food
Glanmire,
on Instagram, and definitely pop down there. Myself and Keane have been down there for lunch, and it's absolutely fantastic. So give him a check out, and if you want to make contact with Marc, you can check that out.
Brilliant. Thanks, lad.
Thanks very much.
Ian.